Welcome to Secrets Out Idaho. Each week, we let you in on the secrets of Southern Idaho and speak to the people who make it such a unique, hidden gem. I'm your host, Connie Stouffer. On this week's episode, we'll learn some of the secret ingredients that make Idaho's potatoes so famous when we talk to third-generation farmer and mechanical engineer, Greg Hirai. We'll hear what brought him back to Idaho after college and what makes life on the farm so great. Greg Hirai, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm really excited to interview you and learn more about you and what you do here in Idaho. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So I'm going to just have you start by telling me a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, I was born in Burley and lived here basically my whole life. Was away for a little while when I was going to college. But yeah, otherwise just grew up in farming. And as my father used to say, we just kind of moved downriver to Wendell over the years. So, yeah.
So how long has your family been farming?
My dad has farmed. My late father has farmed his whole life, and his dad before him. But again, they started out up in the Idaho Falls area, and eventually moved to where we're at now. So, yeah, this has been something I didn't go to college to do this, but came back to it after living in the big city and am enjoying it. Have enjoyed it ever since.
That's good. Where did you go to college?
I went to school for my first 3 years at the College of Idaho in Caldwell, but then I finished there and went to Washington University in St. Louis.
Oh.
Big city I was talking about.
Yeah.
Too big for me. And I met my wife there and got married and moved back to Idaho.
So what were you planning on doing when you went to college?
I was a mechanical engineering major. She was an environmental engineering major. She was from Pittsburgh.
Oh, wow.
And we kind of met in the middle. Both of us, aspired to be in that field. But, when we met and decided we were going to get married and started thinking about where we were going to raise a family, Idaho really drew us back.
Mm-hmm. So had she been out west before she met you, or?
Not really.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think our trip together back here during one of our years in college was the first.
Yeah.
And it was a little, again, she's from Pittsburgh, and so it was a little difficult to get used to. But
going from Pittsburgh to St. Louis to Burley.
or Wendell, where we live.
Yeah.
Right. But Twin Falls is a great hub for, the area where we're at, and there's lots of things going on in this area, and it's just it's got a lot of great qualities all by itself. So It's been a good transition for her. I think I'll speak for her a little bit.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that. So what does your family farm?
We grow potatoes, and we also grow different kinds of corn, some alfalfa and some wheat and barley, depending on the year, and the main Idaho crops.
Mm-hmm. So whenever anyone thinks about Idaho, they instantly think about potatoes, and even our license plates say famous potatoes. Mm-hmm. What makes Idaho potatoes better, or maybe it makes Idaho better for potatoes?
Well, Idaho has a very unique set of characteristics. I mean, we've got a great climate for growing potatoes, a nice dry climate, and we also have the benefit of an amazing water basin that we draw from, the Snake River and the aquifer that surrounds it, and so lots of great clean water for that, and our volcanic soils are well drained, and it's just a kind of a unique combination of things that lends itself to great quality and good yields.
Mm-hmm. And so, if someone to differentiate potatoes grown in Idaho and potatoes grown anywhere else, what makes an Idaho potato better? I know the growing makes it a little bit better, but the end product, what makes an Idaho potato?
Oh, some of that is going to be subjective or an opinion, I guess you might say.
And we're biased, right?
But we're biased. We're definitely biased. But, again, here we've got the cool nights and the nice warm days, and, a season that's not real long. So, it keeps a lot of the insect pressures away that you might see in other places. But we've also, so we have less disease, but we also have a lot of good, what would you say? Let's put it this way. It makes for a really fluffy, great potato, especially if you're talking about baked potatoes. Great climate for russet Burbanks, which is, what Idaho is famous for.
That's awesome. Yeah. So when you were back in St. Louis, was it just being in that big city that you were like, you know what, maybe I do want to go back and work family farm, or was it something about Idaho, or what kind of was that process for you deciding maybe you wanted to come back?
Yeah. Well, just, for one thing, I grew up in the countryside and on a farm, and being inside St. Louis is a stark difference from the way that it was when I grew up, and I don't want to say that you get claustrophobic, but it's a much different feel.
I grew up just an hour east of St. Louis in a little farming town called Carlisle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and even just going from that little farming town into St. Louis was worlds apart.
Right. It wasn't right. It wasn't the Midwest. It was just it would have been that way, I think, in any city. Great city to go to school in. I had a lot of fun there. But it wasn't Idaho, and the kinds of things that I like to do weren't there, and the humidity is a little bit difficult.
It's thick there, yeah.
I'm a dry climate person, so as you can relate to that. But I think, again, big city, small city, I just really had a lot of great experiences when I grew up, and came from a small community, and the network of people there, and it was just a great experience. So I missed that.
Yeah. So what are some of those things that you do like to do here when you're in Idaho that you couldn't do when you were in St. Louis?
Well, we're pretty busy in the summertime.
Yeah, of course.
So we don't have a lot of time. There's a lot of great golfing around here, which I don't get to participate in as much as I'd like to. Some really amazing and unique golf courses. What are some?
I know we have. I have a couple of courses. I don't golf myself, but just driving across the canyon, you're going to see a couple of them. Where are some of your favorite places to golf?
Well, where I'm at, I'm pretty close to the Clear Lakes Country Club, or the Clear Lakes golf course down near between Buell and Wendell, and that's kind of a off the beat path, sort of hidden gem, you might say. I don't do a lot of golfing. I wish I did more, but also love to go up in the wintertime when we're not as busy and ski in Sun Valley. It's an amazing place to have right here near the Magic Valley. And in the summertime, we'll sneak away and do a little fishing and hunting and things like that. So.
Yeah. Awesome. What about your wife? Is she a golfer too, or a skier?
I don't know that she's as into skiing, but she plays tennis and loves to play tennis, and she's part of a league here in the Twin Falls area, and that a lot of Magic Valley people get together with and do that. I did some co-ed tennis with her at some point. Had a lot of fun doing that, although I'm not very good at that. But
I'm sure you're better than you say. So our mutual friend Jody was telling me about how beautiful the potato bloom is. And all the years I've lived in Idaho, I didn't realize that was a thing. And so, which I don't know how I've missed it. So tell me about the potato bloom, when people should be on the lookout when they're driving around Idaho to see how beautiful that is.
Right. Well, I've never heard people refer to it, but it's a really neat thing to see. And you'll see it in the summertime when the potatoes are up, and once the plants get big enough where they're bushy and as we say, the rows close, they the plants kind of come together from their separate rows. They'll close together, and then you'll start to see some blooms, some flowering happen in the plants, and it is a neat thing to see because you'll have this, really green, lush field, but you'll have a bunch of white flowers with most varieties, but with some, you'll have a nice purple flower.
Oh, wow.
That they're not big, but, that it's just a nice contrast to all the green, lush vegetation that you see out there. And there's some other specialty varieties that have, some other colors even, but mostly you'll see white blooms and blue ones too, and they don't last for real long. But
is it like mid to late summer when you see those?
Yeah, early part of summer.
Early part of summer. Okay, yeah. Well, that's around the corner, right? I feel like summer's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We like to say summer can be kind of a sprint. It's not a marathon. We get to the planting season, then we're really hard at it, and then next thing you know, it's harvest season.
Harvest season, yeah. And you'll see those trucks just driving all over hauling potatoes for a long time.
Yeah. Exactly.
I had a chance to tour a facility where they were offloading potatoes like on a belt and into a cellar, I guess. And so many potatoes. Like I knew we grew a lot of potatoes, but there was just in that one building millions of potatoes probably. And they were huge. They were gigantic potatoes. They were bigger than you typically see at the store. They were small child, like baby size.
Little loaves of bread.
Size of potatoes. Are like the sizes of potatoes, do those ones get typically processed into like French fries? Because the ones you see at the store that you buy for like baked potatoes are different.
Yeah. Well, our goal is not to necessarily grow them that big, but sometimes, you have the right conditions, and a certain number of potatoes might actually get that big, especially if they're kind of isolated and apart from other plants. They just sort of take advantage of that solitude and get really big. Everything that we grow goes to Lamb Weston here in Twin Falls, so they'll be made into French fries and things like that. But the really big ones, they're not as sought after in the marketplace. And I think in actuality, when they get to the plant for French fry use, if they're, like you said, small loaves of bread, they actually have to be cut before they can be run. So
I saw the process of them like going down the belt, and there's a tube that the potatoes shoot through, and they just dice them up. But I was thinking to myself, I'm like, they're never going to fit through there. Some of those
fit through them. The tubes aren't big enough, right? That's what I mean. They actually have to cut them in order to accommodate them. It's they're rare, but it does happen.
So your wife has a background in environment, and that lend itself well to being in a farming family, or what does she do these days?
She does have that background, but she works now right now. She works for Idaho School for the Deaf and Blind.
Oh wow!
In Gooding. Yeah. She's an outreach person for them, and it's kind of it is a Magic Valley thing, but my oldest son is deaf, and that's how we first made that connection. And my wife later on went to school and got her education so that she could teach there as well.
Oh, that's amazing!
And so,
it's a pretty campus there in Gooding.
It's an amazingly great campus and an asset to the Magic Valley here, but. I never thought growing up that being 10 miles away from ISDB would be something that would matter so much to us. But it's been great to be where we're at and have them so close.
That is amazing. So when your wife and you moved back, and did you pick Wendell because of it? Did you already have kids at that point and you picked Wendell, or did your family already move to Wendell prior to that, and it just happenstance in life to put you in the right place?
Yeah, no, that's where I grew up. I moved there our family moved there when I was 3. And so I went off to college, came back. My dad was still farming at the time. And so that's where we were at. It was the first place we came to after we got married.
Oh, that's exciting. And starting a family and moving back home. And all that's pretty amazing. So does your wife ever miss being in a big city, or is she just all in love with being in a small town now?
Oh, I think of course, her parents still live back in Pittsburgh. And of course, every time we go back there, we've got to go see a Steeler game or a Pirate game or, something like that. So,
There's things that big cities offer that you can't get to a Major League Baseball game in Idaho. But those are things like that. So what do your kids like to do? You like to golf and tennis. What are they into? How old are they?
My oldest is he'll be 21 soon, and then my middle son is a senior in high school. He'll be graduating this year, and then my youngest is a 7th grader, and I think their first love is baseball.
Baseball,
really love baseball.
So they are Pirates fans.
They are Pirates fans, and they also like to play football and wrestling, and the younger 2 did judo also.
Oh,
they
fun!
Were grown up. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
is there a judo program there in Wendell?
There's not, but there's a great one here in Twin Falls.
Oh, is there?
Yeah. Brian Matsuoka is the sensei, and whom you know, we were just talking about. And so, yeah, they have a great program here.
Brian must have many talents, because I think I knew that he did judo, but I didn't know he was the sensei. So
he's very talented. Yeah. You'd be surprised.
That's awesome. And I think that's great that's the nice thing about our area is that we have a lot of small towns, but we're all so close together that we can kind of have other things that you maybe wouldn't have.
Yeah,
in a rural town.
It's a great arrangement, I think. I mean, you do have a lot of small towns, but they're all, right here, sort of nestled around the Twin Falls area, and here you get a lot of you get access to a lot of things you otherwise wouldn't if you were really far away as a small town. So you kind of get the best of both.
That's true. So your oldest son, is he off at college, or?
My oldest son, the one that is deaf, he farms with me.
Oh, awesome!
So he is there with me every day, and just smiling all the time.
Yeah. So did he know he wanted to go into farming from just living in the farm, or did he have wanted to go out and see what there was in the world?
He did, yeah. He has made no qualms about that all throughout his school life. That's what he wanted to do, and he couldn't wait to get out of school to do it.
Really? That's so wonderful. I bet that's exciting to be able to do that, to work with your son every day. And yeah.
Really, really loves it. So it's a great thing.
What do you think is some of the best things about being a farmer? What do you just love about it?
Well, I love this time of year. I love the people that we work with, and this is a great ag community. Everybody's really focused on making that happen in the best way that it can. And we all share many of the same interests about farming, but this time of year in particular, spring, is just almost magical. You're putting all this stuff in the ground and you add a little sunshine and water and bang, all of a sudden you've got crops that are growing. And as I said, it can be a lot of work, and it's a hard charging summer, a sprint to get to the end. But then, you see everything that comes up out of the ground, everything that you harvest is just, again, the capstone to just an amazing process every year. It's fun to watch.
I'm sure. I can't imagine, because I don't exactly have a green thumb, and so farming is not something that I would be good at. But I love spring too, because I think I always thought summer was my favorite, but I really think it's spring because everything starts to get green and you start to get so excited. At least I do, about all the prospects for the year, and it's pretty exciting. And I'm sure it's doubly so when you're planting things and putting things in the ground and preparing for a whole year of work and labor of love and growing all of that.
Yeah, it's a neat process to watch, fun to take part in. And then at the end of the year, you got to figure out what you did wrong, and you got to start all over again next year.
So your middle son and youngest son, do they have ideas? I know 7th grade's a little early to know what you're doing, but your son that's graduating high school, what does he plan to do?
Well, he is going to take a little different route. He's going to the Naval Academy.
Oh, wow.
Next year. So trying to get him in shape for that, ready to go.
Yeah.
And so that'll be bittersweet, but I'm excited for him, and he's really excited for that.
I bet that's a tremendous opportunity.
Yep. Yeah. And the younger one, well, he's a 7th grader.
Yeah.
So he has no idea what the world holds in store for him. As long as he's swinging his baseball bat right now, I think he's pretty happy.
That's probably fair for a 7th grader. Shouldn't make too many plans too early. So. Yeah. Do they also like to ski with you guys up in Sun Valley?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a great time doing that. Again, it's in the wintertime when Mother Nature is not dictating our every move. So it's a great time of year to get away, get up in the mountains, find some sunshine above the clouds, and just really have a good time.
That's awesome. So secret spots. What are some of your secret spots for someone who's lived here for multiple generations, and favorite things in Southern Idaho, or that you would recommend somebody who's just moved here or maybe coming here for a visit that they should check out?
Well, we, in the summertime, we like to slip away. When my kids were younger, we'd slip away and go fishing down in Oster Lakes, down near Hagerman, and that's always been something we enjoy doing. And it's not really a secret, but like I said, in wintertime, we like to go up to Sun Valley and ski, but there's a number of other great ski resorts close by, and where you can't go wrong.
Yeah,
those would be my favorites.
Yeah. What about favorite places to eat? What are you guys into? Is there someplace in Wendell that people should check out, or someplace maybe in Hagerman or Buell? Or?
Yeah. No, in Wendell and Hagerman have great places. There's Snake River Grill down in Hagerman that's amazing, and
which a lot of people don't know you can get alligator there.
You can.
Yeah, which is pretty unusual.
Of things on the menu there that I would argue you probably can't find very many places anywhere. But I think it's the Riverboat. Forget the name. This is another great place. It's kind of a small place that you might otherwise miss. It's really great food down in Hagerman.
Mm-hmm.
Love that restaurant. And in Wendell, there's great restaurants in Wendell too. Tapatio is a great Mexican restaurant there.
I'll have to try that.
Yeah, really good. And, Twin Falls has a lot of neat places to go to, Rock Creek and Tomatoes and places like that. I've kind of got my favorite dishes at different places. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to try to break out of my favorites and try something new.
Right. Right.
That's awesome. So what is something else that someone should know, maybe that isn't common knowledge about being a farmer in Idaho and growing potatoes, or just from your perspective from living in Idaho?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, everything seems so everyday to me, I guess. I think a lot of people who come here to visit, we do things that we take for granted almost. We'll visit places like Shoshone Falls, or, different places along the canyon or in the canyon, along the Snake River, even places like the ice caves, or, again, slipping away and going up to the Wood River Valley and seeing the mountains and doing some fishing up there, even places like that. People, or even looking, you go to different fish hatcheries that are along the river as well. And these are just things that people who don't see these things all the time, they kind of marvel about. And I mean, even my brother brings some his kids and some group of kids from Boise in the summertime, and we'll spend a couple days just doing farm things and going to the different dairies and looking at just walking out in the middle of potato fields and cornfields and doing different things like that. And, and they just really marvel at those things and find the magic that we tend to take for granted after too long.
Yeah. And speaking of magic, and you might, as being a farmer, that's part of where the origin name from the Magic Valley comes from. Some people, when they come here, they're like, why is it called the Magic Valley? And it's about irrigating and farming, right?
Oh, I've always wondered that, but
it
makes total sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess when pioneers came out here, it's high desert, and typically in the desert, you're not going to have a plentiful ag community growing lots of things, but it's all the irrigation that was put in here. And then magically farms popped up everywhere and was growing an abundant amount of food. And it was kind of a magical thing to see in the desert. And it's because we're blessed with a lot of good, clean, cold water. And so, yeah.
That's great to know. I've always kind of wondered that, although, now that you say it, it makes complete sense.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I didn't know. Yeah, until I moved here and looked into it, because, it seems like a magical place to live here, but for lots of reasons. The canyon is beautiful and the river is beautiful, but it's back to our farming roots that makes it where we came from. So
right. Yeah, otherwise, it would all just be desert.
It would, yeah.
Sagebrush.
Well, and that's some of the things that if you're just driving down the interstate and you just look out, it's beautiful, but you don't know the canyon is there. You can't necessarily see the canyon or, the beautiful bridge or the river, for a lot of the interstate. And so unless you get off the interstate and see how beautiful it is and see the waterfalls in Hagerman or go over to Shoshone Falls, and you kind of miss all that beauty. So we're kind of hidden in plain sight, I feel like.
Yeah, it is amazing that, such a large and deep canyon that just pops out of nowhere.
Yeah.
All that water running through it too. Yeah, it is. It's different.
Perfect. So anything else that people should know about Idaho potatoes or living here that we should depart on them?
That they're just great to eat. And, eat lots of bakers, eat lots of French fries, and enjoy. But otherwise, just come visit.
Yeah.
Look around and get off the get off the interstate and, as you said, maybe notice some of the things that are not quite so obvious looking at it from a map or something.
Well, yeah, even so, I think particularly our smaller towns like Hagerman is beautiful. Just the drive out to go out to Hagerman is beautiful. And you had to make a point to go out there and see all those waterfalls and to fish out there. Where you were saying, where is it that you guys like to fish?
Oster Lakes.
Oster Lakes. So, and what do you fish for out there?
Oh, trout, bass, things like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Buell's the trout capital of the world, and which people may not realize.
A lot of people don't realize that. Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that. Just amazing resources all around us.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So, Greg, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. It's been great learning more about what makes Idaho famous and our famous potatoes and the things that you and your family love to do here.
My pleasure. It's been fun.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to Secrets Out Idaho. You can follow Southern Idaho Economic Development on social media or visit southernidaho.org to learn more. Please take a moment to leave a rating and review and subscribe so you can be the first to hear more Secrets Out Idaho. Until next time.